How much protein do Indians and South Asians actually need? Now, we know that Indians have some of the worst genetics when it comes to muscle mass. If you think about a typical Indian body, we're looking at a skinny, fat type of physique, skinny arms, skinny legs, a little pot belly. And this is largely due to our lack of protein in our diet. So I'm going to be explaining today some of the benefits of protein. Why do we need protein? How much protein do we actually need? When should we be eating our protein? What sources of protein should we go for? And I will give you some example meal plans. My name is Arjun Roy. I'm from Team Fit Gains, and we teach people how to get rid of the did, drop belly fat while still eating their favorite foods. So why do we even need protein in the first place? Everyone bangs on about protein and you're seeing it everywhere, high protein this, high protein that. So what's the importance of protein? Firstly, protein is one of the essential macronutrients. We have your protein, your fats, and your carbohydrates. In 1 gram of protein, there are 4 calories. Now, protein has a higher thermic effect of food, meaning our bodies will actually burn more calories digesting protein than carbs and fats. It's around 20%. So a high protein diet will actually mean you burn more calories overall. Protein keeps you quite full as well. So one of the benefits of protein is when you are dieting, it will keep you satiated, so you won't feel as hungry. Most people fail on their diets because their hunger rises and they'll end up snacking and going for the chocolates and all those types of things. So having a high protein diet actually will help you stop doing that. The main thing with protein, it supports and it builds our muscle mass. Now, Indians tend to hold less muscle mass than other ethnic groups just generally, but this is a combination of genetics and lifestyle. Having low levels of muscle mass can cause lots of problems. A few of the problems that arise is as we age, we get very frail and then we are more at risk of falling down, causing fractures. And this is actually quite a common cause of why people end up dying, is because of these fractures. They get infected, they don't heal, and they become also dependent on other people. Another big risk with having low levels of muscle mass is our insulin sensitivity is not that good. Muscle actually acts as a place where we can store glucose and glycogen. So the more muscle you have on your body, the more carbohydrates you're able to eat, sugar, and that can be stored in those muscles. So when we train, we use that glycogen up. If you don't have much muscle mass, you can't really store it there, then it can store in body fat. And then when we get more issues with being obese and overweight. Also, when you have more muscle on your body, you have a higher resting metabolic rate. So you actually burn more calories at rest when you have more muscle. So essentially, the more muscle you have, the more you can eat because the more you are burning. Now, how much protein should we actually have? Let me explain the term muscle protein synthesis to you, which is muscle building. Now, to trigger muscle protein synthesis, we need to eat enough protein and we need to be resistance training, weight training. We need to break that muscle down, then our body will recover and repair that muscle and rebuild it, hopefully stronger and bigger. So we need to put your muscle protein synthesis in a positive balance, and that is done through eating enough protein. General recommendation that's out there is 0.75 grams per kilogram of body weight. That is way too low. So the general recommendation is not good. Then you might have heard a gram per pound of body weight. That's quite a good recommendation. That works out to a similar number to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So if I weigh 80 kilos, I double it, 160. So I should be aiming for 160 grams of protein per day. That's a really good number. Some of you guys might be quite heavy, and if you are really overweight, over 100 kilos, you might find that doubling that, going up towards 200 grams or more, can be really tricky. And you might find it difficult eating all that protein. So in that case, if you are overweight, take your target body weight, multiply it by 2, and that's how much protein you should be eating per day. Let's say I'm overweight and I'm 100 kilos, but my target body weight is 80 kilos. So I will do 80 times 2, 160. So as a 100 kilos overweight person, my aim is 160 grams of protein per day. Another good measure, you can say 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. That works quite well as well. But I would say for Indians and South Asians, due to our low levels of muscle mass, we should really be aiming for around that 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. That is the recommendation I would definitely go for. Now, when should we actually have our protein? There have been a number of different studies looking at protein distribution. Is it better to eat your protein all together? Is it better to spread it out across the day? Is it better to eat it after a workout? There are some conflicting views on this. Traditionally, it was thought that our bodies couldn't really utilize more than, say, 40 to 50 grams protein per sitting. And for that reason, we should spread our protein across the day. If my target is 160 grams of protein, so I'm 80 kilos, double my weight, that's my target, 160 grams a day. So I would split that up during the day, 4 feedings at 40 grams per meal. Also, previously, people used to think you have to have protein as soon as you train. Everyone thought the anabolic window would only last 30 minutes. The new research came out telling us that the anabolic windows actually last up to 24 hours. So as long as you get your protein intake in by the end of the day, you should be completely fine. And then this new study emerged, and I'm just going to read this out to you. Recent studies have challenged the traditional belief that the body can only utilize 20 to 40 grams of protein in one sitting. A study published in Cell Reports Medicine in December 2023 found that consuming up to 100 grams of protein post-workout resulted in a prolonged anabolic muscle building response lasting over 12 hours. This suggests that higher protein intake after training may be more beneficial for muscle recovery and growth than previously thought. So this goes kind of back to the anabolic window being post-workout. So getting your protein in then is actually quite a good time to have it. To be on the safe side, what I would do, I would split my protein up across the day, and I would make sure I have some protein post-workout. So once I do a workout, within say an hour, make sure I get a meal in that is high in protein. If you try to eat your protein all in one meal or 2 meals, that could be really a lot of protein in those meals. Now, a lot of Indians tend to do intermittent fasting. And one reason I'm not really keen on it is because the protein levels really drop down. If you're only having 2 meals a day, it's very unlikely you're gonna have 2 meals at 80 grams of protein. You're probably gonna get like 40 grams of protein, maybe 50. So your target's 160 grams. Because of your intermittent fasting, you only end up getting 100 grams a day. This can become very problematic. So what we need to do is actually focus on how much protein we have in a day and then eat accordingly to that. What type of protein sources should we be going for? So we have animal protein sources, so think about your meats and things like that. And we also have non-animal based protein sources, your plant-based protein sources. In general, your animal-based protein sources are superior because they have the complete amino acid profile. They contain all the 9 essential amino acids, and one in particular called leucine is the one that is linked with muscle building. So foods that are higher in leucine, supplements that are higher in leucine tend to give you more muscle building gains. With the plant proteins, these are considered incomplete protein sources because they do not contain the 9 essential amino acids. They might contain a few of the essential amino acids, but to get a complete profile, you have to mix and match your protein. So here are some animal-based protein sources you can go for. Chicken breast is really good. Eggs, egg whites, fish, beef, steaks, lamb, pork. Greek yogurt is really good for protein. Some plant-based protein sources would be things like tofu, paneer, lentils, chickpeas, nuts and seeds, tempeh, seitan. So there are quite a few different protein sources you go for as a vegetarian. The only thing you have to be careful with is a lot of these protein sources, like your nuts and your lentils, tend to be higher in carbs or fats. So although they do provide some protein, the calories can be a lot higher than the meat sources. Now we do see lots of protein products in the supermarkets that are high protein vegan foods or vegetarian foods. Things like corn, the Linda McCartney sausages are quite a good source. Protein yogurts and also protein supplements can be really good. So there's the protein bioavailability chart, which actually ranks whey protein at the top. So that means our bodies can really absorb and utilize that protein. So that's actually number 1, more so than meats and eggs and things like that. So whey protein is a really good protein source if you're veg or non-veg. If you're a vegan and you don't have any dairy, you can then go for some plant protein as well. You may find the supplements really helpful in hitting your overall protein target. Because remember, if you're going for 2 grams per kilogram of body weight, that is quite a lot of protein. And trying to get that just through your food alone can be tricky. So Indian people tend to have Indian food. So we eat roti, rice, chol, dal, sabji, chicken curry, things like that. Now let's just take a vegetarian person's Indian food plate. It'll look like something like a few rotiyan, some sabji or some dal, some yogurt and some salad. Now, although there's some protein in the yogurt, the sabji and the dal are quite low in protein. Yellow dal is not too bad for protein, to be fair, but generally speaking, the protein's quite low. So what we can do is we can actually replace our normal yogurt for the 0% yogurt, which is high in protein. Instantly, that boosts the protein. We can also add in eggs. Egg whites are really high for protein as well. So if you want to scramble some eggs in, add that into your sabji, that can boost the protein content. So take one of the rotiyan out, add this yogurt, add some eggs, and now the calories are staying down with the protein up. I'm going to give you an example meal plan with some veg and non-veg alternatives. In the morning, simple protein smoothie. Really easy. Every morning I have 2 scoops of whey protein. I add in some oats, banana, blueberries, raspberries, semi-skimmed milk, add in 5 grams of creatine, blend that in the blender. That will give me around 60 grams of protein straight away in the morning. Then for lunch, I'll have 1 chicken breast with some salad in a wrap or with some rice and some vegetables. 1 chicken breast is going to provide me between 30 and 40 grams of protein. I'm already on 100 grams of protein. If I don't eat meat, I can not have any chicken. I can go for a low fat paneer, like Apatina paneer. I can add that in, or I can even go for the corn pieces. They are quite high in protein as well. As a snack between lunch and dinner, I can go for a protein yogurt with some fruit. That's going to get me an extra 20 grams of protein there. So right now I'm on 120 grams of protein before I've had my dinner. For dinner, let's say we're having roti, so we can do roti with chicken or lamb or keema or something like that with some yogurt, that 0% yogurt. With a meat dish, I could be hitting well over 50 grams of protein. Now with the veggie dish like dal or sabji, remember they are low in protein. So what I can do then is I can use the eggs, the egg whites, or just make sure I have enough of that yogurt so the protein does go up. But in that vegetarian meal, you still hit about 30 to 40 grams of protein, and you should be able to hit your 160 grams of protein target per day. So to summarize, Indians do need more protein than other people, in my opinion, because of our lack of muscle mass. And the amount of protein we need is 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. If you are overweight, take your target body weight, then multiply that by 2 and aim for that daily. It's important we hit our protein targets daily because our bodies are always breaking down muscle and making muscle. That muscle protein synthesis is at play, and we want to be in a positive protein balance. Remember, muscle is key for our health long term. It will help us and support us when we get older, so we're not frail and fragile. And it also reduces the risk to developing type 2 diabetes.